All right, 14 seconds. Let's get going. Yeah, it's totally fucking crazy what happened with that. It's also a perfect example of what I've been saying all along. Stop fucking using Node for anything. Oh my God. I wrote an interpreted language and finished that this week. Here's an example of it. It's a language constructed entirely of Go structs. So the language itself is valid Go. Even though it's a totally separate language from Go. It just uses Go structs. All the tests are passing at this point. There might be more bugs. Eventually they'll come out. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to actually write a tool called ScanX, SKANX, and it's going to scan this Go code and turn it into parsed nodes. Any other information out there, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. It's out of date. It might have elements of truth in it, but most of it is going to be dead wrong. None of it's going to teach you to do Go work. None of it's going to teach you to do Go mod init right. They're all going to teach you how to do Go get instead of Go install, which is incorrect. So start right. Learn Go 1.18. How about that? Does that pass? Yes. How about this? Does this pass? No. So I probably want to make a tool like this that works with my new expression grammar. So let's try that. We'll catch the errors up front instead of realizing that it doesn't do any code generation, doesn't do any proper formatting for it. So this is why I want a domain specific subset language that I can write language grammars in so that I can put greater constraints on it when needed or change it slightly. Languages and of course context free grammars are declarative. Anytime you have something beyond that, that needs to have code, how do you do that? Well, you have to create a plugin or some sort of hook for that. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. I'm going to show you why this is so cool. So in the interpreted language I wrote, because it's written in Go, we can use first class functions as a part of our language. Let that sink in for a second to see how cool that is. Statically saying it's these numbers and ranges and stuff. And you can just throw in a function to do that. This is exactly what you would do if you were coding like a functional parser and you were writing a function for every one of these things. It just allows you to like kind of inline that step so it's not as messy. So, we don't have any testing going on for mark test, but I don't even think this is going to compile yet. Yeah, okay, so now this is the thing. It has dependencies on other things that don't exist. So this is where Go work comes in. So pay attention if you haven't know anything about Go 1.18. This is how you use Go work at 1.18. Term, structs, and TO. And you can see it doesn't have scan in here. Now I can add it here, but the better way to do it would just be Go work use scan. And that will say, go use my local scan package instead of the one off the internet. And that allows you to do concurrent development on multiple packages at the same time. Notation based on what doesn't work right here, right? But we're leveraging Go to help us with the syntax checking by using these this pseudo-interpreted language that uses structs only. It uses Go structs and slices and stuff. I mean, come on, it's Twitch. If you can't wear sunglasses for no fucking reason on Twitch, where else can you do it? I mean, really. The people wear whatever the fuck they want on this thing. Is it body paint or glasses at night? Sunglasses at night. Pass. That's what we like to see. She's so cute when she sleeps. I was just checking on her, stalking her. I was stalking my wife. Well, I had to say it. I mean, everybody thought it. I just said it. It's actually good for your health, just so you know. Something else. That's all. Yeah, 95% is Red Hat or CentOS. Yeah, most people are. And this is unpopular opinion out there on YouTube and Twitch land, right? People don't tell you the truth about what enterprise actually runs. People are like thinking if they don't use Arch, they're less than, which is bullshit. The answer is absolutely not. Absolutely do not go to, and if you do go to college, go to WGU if you're an American, Western States or Western Governors University, get the fast track one, pay less money, $6,000 to $8,000 tops. And it includes 23 certifications, and you'll save yourself a ton of fucking time. I've been talking about WGU a lot. I have nothing to do with them. I'm not a university affiliate or anything like that, but they have a pay-as-you-go kind of system so that you can actually hack the educational system. And if you finish it fast, you can save a ton of money and they include the certificates in their certifications, and they're catered toward government. You're going to go to university for security and cybersecurity because you have to. Going to get a cybersecurity degree from WGU and also getting all the certificates is really, really good if you want to go into the more conservative security jobs, the ones that are the government or the FBI and things like that. That they're really. My window manager is Tmux. I can go back and forth. It is literally a window manager. It might not be what you're thinking, but it works everywhere. I can use it remotely. It does everything I would ever need. I can cut and paste from it. It uses the maximum use of the screen, and since I'm a terminal guy, I don't really care about anything else that's graphical. I don't browse the internet using a graphic browser, and when I do, I just use Chrome and I pull it up from Tmux. So it's not that big a deal that it tile. In my particular case, I think you should be modal, which means you either have a full screen of graphics or a full screen of terminal back and forth. Having both at the same time is unuseful. Coffee, I'll tell you what, coffee is one of the greatest things that was ever invented, and I didn't drink it for 42 years of my life as a Mormon, and now it powers me up every day, all the time. Am I addicted? Yes. Do I care? No. Are my teeth sore because of the acid? Hell yeah. It's probably not good for me. I don't care. I love it. I am a black coffee dude, which is really bad because it's really acidic and all that stuff. First of all, I can't do lactose. I don't know why. I hate saying that. That's just true. I like to have like a little tiny bit of a granola bar or something to sweeten the coffee and go with it. I love mixing coffee and cake and pie and stuff like that. Just a little bit of this at night if you're going to drink your coffee at night or on a Sunday. Can't do too much though. It's like really sweet. But it does. Oh my God, it smells so yummy. It's not that hard, you know, and you can just change whatever you put inside of your prompt command, whatever comes out of that. This runs the method, and then boom, you get it. It's a lot of fun to do, actually. You get full control of it, and you can build on mine and go from there. This is my .dot files. This is a fun question. I mean, this is a fun one. This is a fun question. GNU BSD. First of all, drop the fucking GNU. I mean, you know that, right? It's not GNU Linux. There's been so many projects that have used that have been added to Linux that GNU is like a tiny little piece of it now, pretty much insignificant. Stallman can go suck it. Beyond that, though, BSD is phenomenal. It's really great. It's probably the largest Unix distribution out there. Because Apple is built on BSD, so you could say that BSD is the largest Unix distro in the planet because Apple has said so about their distro, which is BSD. I hear about this all the time. I hear about people who like they first of all, there's like life before Bash in the terminal and life after, and after they've been addicted to it, they're like they can never go back. They're like they think of everything in terms of like, oh my God, it would be so much more efficient. It's totally true. Kahlua. Tequila Kahlua. I think I just invented a drink. And tequila Kahlua and a little bit of coffee. The Saturday night special. That's what we should call it. Tequila. My head is cold, often cold, and it makes my head warm. In terms of like Fedora, like the Red Hat distributions, and like whatever. Don't use them that much. I used to use them all the time. I'm more inclined to use like a CentOS variant like Alma or Rocky these days, if you're talking about that stuff. This guy's not coding. This is not coding. This guy's mixing drinks. What the fuck? It's Saturday night. Black Russian recipe. Okay, I'm gonna look at that one too. Thank you for all your input. This is why I stream. To learn how to make drinks. Mormon, I went on the mission to the Caribbean, French West Indies, technically. I was on Barbados, I'm on Martinique for most of that time, in French West Indies, Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, St. Martin, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, all of them. That was all fantastic. St. Kitts, really loved it, even though I ended up leaving the church later. Kind of bitter about it. I tend to talk about it when I get enough alcohol in me on Saturdays and Sundays. Anyone here will tell you that I talk about the Mormons all the time. You get me drunk enough, I'll go off. So yeah, contractor for military, awesome. Man, you've been around. I'm not even kidding. I've been playing Overwatch. You know what? I love Overwatch. You know why? I don't have to think. I can just yell at little kids for being idiots and not really, and I can just like run around and play it and don't really have to think. And it's really beautiful. It makes me kind of disconnect, and it's just a really great way to relax. So yeah, I like Overwatch. Our generation fucking invented the video games that you're obsessed with every day. We also made it mainstream, just so you know. We would come home and play our video games, and we were the first generation to do so. Boom. Okay, boomer, that shit. Playing Pong, first generation to play a video game at home, period. You have Gen X to thank for that. By the way, we're not boomers. Gen X is not boomers. Often confused with boomers. Not the same. Just letting you know so you cannot make that mistake. And you're like, okay, boomer. I'm like, move her head to the left because she didn't want to get blown up. She never experienced the 3D. She goes, she would get sick. She would get sick. She was like, I can't do that. It makes me sick because it was 3D. It made her sick. It literally gave her motion sickness because she never experienced it before. It's just a way of tagging something. What does GitTag do? It just makes an extra, like, thing that people can download. It's not really a release, but they can download all of it. And so it basically makes like a collection of all your code at that point in time. And then you can turn that into a release very easily. That's what it's for. Way to get to relocate to get a job in the U.S. Right now, of course, it's physically impossible. There's no way they're letting any Russians in America. Unless you have family here already, it's all shut down. And that's going to go for any Western state. The best thing for you to do is to prove your skills the same way anywhere else, but you're just going to have to do it a lot more for Russia, as it's doing unnecessary things to good people in Russia. And that's one of them. That you just cannot hope to get a job. And in fact, there's a lot of people who have been being removed from jobs. They're still being paid, but they're not. They're having their access cut. Who have jobs in America. Go back and look at GitLab. GitLab has a policy of employing anybody from all over the United States, but there was a massive, massive scandal when they stopped hiring people from Russia a long time ago for all the reasons they cite. And I think it's really unfortunate, necessary to get the pressure to mount on the leadership to do the right thing. It's up to the people in the country to make the change. We can't make the change for you. So that kind of pressure is always going to happen. And if it were my country, I would try to have to figure it out. The best way to get a job in tech in the United States is actually not to get a job in tech at all in the United States. And my opinion, the best way to get a job in tech is to get a job in Canada. If you get a job in Canada, Canada has much looser rules with regard to getting into the country if you're a technologist, and they have a great operation across the border. Division is located right across the border, and all of IBM, and that's a big fucking huge company, and their entire software division is located in Canada. Because of this, it's easier to get people, expats primarily, who comprise about 70% of the workforce. The other possibility I would suggest if you want to get to the United States would be to get to another Slavic country. We had a lot of people in Romania and Belarus and places like that. I don't know about Belarus now, but that I worked with a ton of Romanians. So you might go there and no, you know, it's just the way it is. I have never worked with anybody who was from Russia working remotely from Russia. And I don't know why that is. I know that some people do it, but it's usually not for an I'm trying to keep these kind of positive there lately. I've been talking about drinks and stuff. And I'm making a white Russian here. And apparently a black Russian, so we put tequila in it or something, or a Brave Bear bowl or something. And so it says, I'm saying vodka is great for smoothies because it's nice and clean. He goes, it's not the vodka, it's the Russian spirit, which is probably true. Other Russian people, when I think of Russian people, I love the Russian people. Most of the Russians are not, I mean, it's like, but judging America based on Trump supporters. You can't judge Russia based on the people that are following Putin right now, that are totally disillusioned and stuff like that. That is not the heart of Russia. Russia is deeply beloved in my heart, and I get kind of verklempt when I think about amazing Russians that I've met, that I know personally, that are suffering immensely right now. Some of whom have gotten out, some of whom who haven't. And, you know, and it's hard. It's easy for us, you know, all over the rest of the world to say, hey, just tell your leader to change his mind and do something different. And that same guy is like poisoning and killing people all over. So, you know, you can't hold him accountable for that. But the flip side of this is you have to allow pressure like that to mount and allow countries to do that. Otherwise, the populace isn't going to care, and they're just going to let it keep going on. And you need the only people that can actually change the situation are the people in the country, and they're the best hope for changing things. But I'll try. So the question here is, do you know Russians in the CIA? And I actually know a lot. When I was a Mormon, I was a front page of newspaper in St. Lucia, actually, that said, hey, #1 recruiting agency, BYU for the CIA. And I was like, no, turns out it's true. In fact, I met several members of the CIA. One of my good friends is most undoubtedly in the CIA. I don't know for sure, but he just disappeared, literally. He learned Arabic, by the way, and he was brown skinned and he was fucking amazing at it. So I absolutely know he's gone. I interviewed with the CIA, and the other people that I did those interviews. I cannot talk to you about my level of involvement with either of them. I I knew many, many agents. I went to church with them. In fact, one famous moment in Moscow, I sat in a Mormon church next to someone who handed me his card, agricultural attaché. And this is a true story. I looked him in the face and I went, right. And he went, they know who we are and we know who they are. This was Perestroika. And he was absolutely an agent, and he was there at church. I was sitting right next to him completely randomly. People know I worked in Russia for years, quite a bit after my Russian degree, and met several agents on cruises, actually, many of whom were agents during the 50s and who were having this kind of renaissance because they love Russia, but, you know, they were spies. My dealings with Russian spies, I'm pretty sure that I was frequently in contact with several of them without knowing it, but I don't have any proof of that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. However, I do have many stories about the Russian mafia, which I was regularly in contact with. They're regularly there. Why is BYU so big a deal if you want to work in the CIA? Brigham Young University has the best language program of any university in the entire United States, possibly the world, because of the Mormon religious affiliation. They're focused in the language department. I learned French and Russian while I was there. I mean, I worked and taught there. I was in the humanities lab. I was dead center in the middle of it all. And I can tell you without question that they destroy any other Ivy League or other university program for languages. If you want to learn language, they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't have sex. They do a lot of that stuff in private, you know, and they're really, really good at lying and keeping secrets. They are, because they regularly have double lives. And I'll tell you this, as a Mormon who had a double life, they regularly are used to running double lives. And so they're good at religion to lie. They're trained by their religion to cover up all of their sins and their misgivings and misdeeds and doubts and stuff, to the point where they manage the perception of like a particular persona perfectly, and that makes them ideal agents out there. I do have Mormons in my family that I love, and there's lots of Mormons that don't know a lot, and I think that they're deceiving themselves, but that's not my choice. They're free to do whatever they want as long as it doesn't impact the rest of us. But there's one thing that people continually lie about, and that is not Mormon. Being a polygamist right now, a practicing, for the sake of all the Mormons out there, and God knows I got plenty of gripes against the Mormons, polygamy is not a part of the current practices of the Mormon religion. They do not practice it. Big love is total bullshit. All of it is bullshit. It's fundamentalist Mormonism, which is not Mormonism. There's a few things I want to say about this to defend the position about this, okay? So you have to know that the Mormons have fractured just like any other church, right? You have Hasidic Jews and you have other types of Jews, right? And they all practice things differently. And they have different ways of going about it. And they all get called Jews. And if you were to say that to one of them, they'd be offended, right? So fundamentalist Mormons, anybody who practices fundamental Mormonism is immediately excommunicated from this mainline Mormon church, which bowed to legal pressure and stopped the practice of polygamy. Mitt Romney's ancestors were some of the so they could continue to practice polygamy. This is a true story. You can look up Mitt Romney's family history. You can confirm it for yourself. Polygamy was stopped, and it was a massive crisis in the church. And they stopped it because all these people wanted to keep doing it. Other people didn't. Some people were giving permission to do it. And then at pain of death, they were thrown in prison. There were lots of Mormons who went to prison who said, I would rather go to prison than give up my wives and children who I love, because all of a sudden they were being forced, they were being compelled by the American government to live, the law as of the land, which meant that you could no longer be married and you couldn't even be in the same house. And it was really fucking pain and suffering and horror that happened during that time, which I feel personally was unjustified. I think you should be able to manage the way you love people how you want. I mean, it certainly did in other countries. I don't think you should be forced to say, I'm only going to be married to one person, and as long as your society is set up to do that and doesn't put people with 10 wives above people. So what I'm trying to tell you is that polygamy is not a part of the practicing Mormon religion right now. I'm going to say it again. There are no Mormons right now who are in good standing with the church who are practicing polygamy. I keep coming to that word. I'm going to say why. They still believe it's a law, and you can have a woman die and a man can be married to another woman and sealed to her for time and eternity so that both of them are his wife in heaven after he dies. That's a fact. You can go look it up right now. That means they believe in polygamy. They just don't practice it. Who dies? The woman cannot get married to another man. She can get married for time only in order to, have somebody to be with and all of that. But she cannot be sealed to another man because she has already been promised to the other man in the afterlife. That is Mormon doctrine. Go look it up. Any Mormon who ever tells you, mainstream or otherwise, that they do not believe in polygamy is full of shit. They have raised their arm to the square and promised that they will kill themselves in brutal ways in order to offend the law of polygamy in the afterlife, even if they can't practice it here. I was actually just watching another documentary last night about it. The truth of the matter is that whether you're a tyrant or you're a cultist, you have to believe that in order to do it. And they do all kinds of psychological things to come to the point where they really truly believe it. So I do believe they believe it. Motivation and psychological situation, they will find a way to believe whatever the fuck makes sense to them to make their worldview seem better. And that's actually terrifying, because human belief cannot be trusted. As a state saying that to be a good Mormon, you needed to have lots of children and not do birth control, and you needed to populate the church, and that would raise the numbers. And by the way, that same cultural imperative exists in the Hasidic Jewish faith as well, and it's well documented in that Netflix documentary. There is a feeling, because of the Holocaust for the Jews and for the Mormons who under polygamy, that in order to help increase, God's kingdom on earth, we have a moral imperative to have 8 children. I'm the oldest of 8. And it's very true. It's very true that is a thing. They say God says it and they do it. Mormonism is not a good thing. There are practices of the Mormons, just like object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is not a good thing. There are things in it, encapsulation and stuff, that are good, but Mormonism as a whole is horrible, and object-oriented programming as a whole is horrible. Mormonism teaches people to lie. It teaches people to lie who they are. It says one thing and then it does another thing completely. I think any cult mentality is very dangerous. And I think any dogmatic belief system that shits on people who are born with genitalia that don't match up with what God promised they would have a problem.